Today I am doing a what I'm reading video. I feel like I just said the word video like so many times. But anyways, I love reading and I did another video where I talked about what I'm reading and my favorite book and it got so many views. And I thought if you guys want to see what I'm reading, I'll do another one. Like that video was done so long ago. This is going to be a recap of what I'm reading right now, what I plan to read and what I've read this year. So yeah, let's go into the video. I've got my handy dandy laptop and yeah, let's start on what I'm reading currently. Well, not what I'm reading currently, what I've been reading this year. Oh my gosh. One of the books I've read this year that I have actually loved so much was called A Deadly Education. And as the last book video I did, I'm going to share the blurb of the books and my review of them. Bear in mind, some of these have spoilers and I will tell you when there's a spoiler. A Deadly Education. Lesson 1 of the school manse. Learning has never been this deadly. A Deadly Education is set at School Manse, a school for the magically gifted where failure means certain death for real. Until one girl, Elle, begins to unlock its many secrets. There are no teachers, no holidays, and no friendships, save strategic ones. Survival is more important than any letter grade, for the school won't allow its students to leave until they graduate or die. The rules are deceptively simple. Don't walk the halls alone and beware of the monsters who lurk everywhere. Elle is uniquely prepared for the school's dangers. She may be without allies, but she possesses a dark power strong enough to level mountains and wipe out millions. It would be easy enough for Elle to defeat the monsters that prowl the school. The problem, her powerful dark magic might also kill the other students. I love this book so much. I actually only started reading it because I'm in this reading club with my friends and we were trying to pick a book to read. First we read Fourth Wing as a group. You already guys know from my last video that I read Fourth Wing and I loved that. And so we were like looking for a new book and 2 people recommended this book. I don't think either of them had read it. It's just like a book that they wanted to read. So I read it and I loved it so much. I rated this book 5 stars, but to be honest, I do really love books 5 stars. This book was so fun. To be honest, it was so dense. This book is not a book you can read quickly. At least I couldn't. Haha. It's so weird reading this out loud. At least I couldn't. Haha. But I couldn't put it down. I love how slow of a slow burn it was. I haven't really read a good slow burn in a while. And then here's a spoiler. My only wish is that Orion had more substance. He feels quite two-dimensional. I love him so much, but I wish there was more to him than just a fighter who loves Gal. Or Elle. They will have both things in the book. I really like this book. I think it's so gothic and dark and it's, I don't know, I love a good strong female lead. I don't know, maybe that's just me. To be honest, like I said in my review, it also is quite dense. I tend to read books quite quickly. I do sometimes want to read a bit slower and I think this book kind of forced me to do that because there was just so much world building. So much of the book was descriptive, which was actually quite nice. As I said in the spoiler part, in case you don't want to listen to this, I just wish the male lead Orion, I wish he had more substance. I don't know, it kind of felt like he just was there. I don't know, I still love him though, like my man, like yeah, but still it just was like, is there more to you? I'm reading the second book now and I don't know, I'll let you guys know how I find it. The next book that I wanted to talk about is Love and Other Words. So very different from the book I was just talking about. The story of a heart can never be unwritten. Macy Sorensen is settling into an ambitious, if emotionally tepid, routine. Work hard as a new pediatrics resident, plan her wedding to an older, financially secure man, keep her head down and her heart tucked away. When she runs into Elliot, I'm not even going to try and pronounce his words, I'm sorry. Anyways, Elliot, the first and only love of her life, the careful bubble she's constructed begins to dissolve. Once upon a time, Elliot was Macy's entire world, growing from her gangly, bookish friend to the man who cooks her heart open again after the loss of her mother, only to break it on the very night he declared his love for her. Told in an alternating timeline between then and now, teenage Elliot and Macy grow from friends to much more, spending weekends and lazy summers together in the house outside San Francisco, devouring books, sharing favorite words, and talking about their growing pains and triumphs. As adults, they have become strangers to one another until their chance reunion. Although their memories are obscured by the agony of what's happened that night so many years ago, Elliot will come to understand the truth behind Macy's decade-long silence and will have to overcome the past and himself to revive her faith in the possibility of an all-consuming love. Just like the other book, I also really love this book. It was so beautiful, I could not lie. I've actually read another book by Christina Lauren, and I won't lie, I did not like that book. I gave it like, I think 1 star. And I'm a pretty easy judge of a book, so that for me is like, this book was absolutely horrible. But she revived herself in this book. She did so good. I loved this book so much. Let me just read my review. Oh my gosh, this story is so cute and heartbreaking at the same time. I feel so much for Macy. Her life was so sad, but Elliot is literally amazing, although his mistake was kind of insane. Okay, back to no spoilers. Anyways, I love their relationship so much. Elliot is such a Gilbert Blythe character, so smart and literally obsessed from day one. I love the book. This book basically just followed them from like when they met to where they are now and how they got together, and I loved how the book went back and forth between the timelines. Sometimes I do not like that. Sometimes I can't lie, it really annoys me. For example, the summer I turned pretty, I tried reading this book. I felt like it went back in time too much, whereas in this one I feel like it was good. I liked how much they went back and forth, and I think it added so much to the story, and you actually understood their relationship way more. I loved the way like it showed them growing up and becoming like teenagers, and then them as adults and like the different things they have to struggle with. And like I love how Macy, she had to like think about whether she actually wanted to like be vulnerable and open herself up to love. Yeah, I just thought it was so good. I thought it was so interesting. I thought it was so cute. I loved it. I also rated this 5 stars. I don't know, I just had so much fun reading it. I just couldn't put it down. But the next book I've read is Stay Away from Hollands. Stay away from the Hollands, they said, especially Mackenzie Holland, with no manners, no scruples, no prospect. What else are others to think? That he's an artist, a young man with a gentle temperament, and every bit as much ambition as the next person? Never. He's Mackenzie Holland, after all, right? Everyone wants to be Jazz Davy. Beautiful, talented, smart, social, blah, blah, blah. Just how does she do it? No one has the first idea, nor do they care about how. Someone new to the city, and even new into the school, is making her mark without a hit. Because what else is a girl like her going to do? Crumble under the pressures, unseen by none but one? No. What pressures? She's Jazz Davis. This book, literally, I think is my favorite of the books. Yeah, not to lie, this book was so good. I actually started reading it and found out about the book because of a TikTok I saw by this book TikToker. Her name's Amina. And she was raving about this book. She was saying how it's amazing, and she read like a bit of the book from like some things that the characters said, and I was like, oh my gosh, why does this sound like the most amazing book I've ever read? Oh, it was so beautiful. It's also quite a slow burn, but it was like a good one. Like, I can't lie, A Deadly Education, kind of a bit slow, could have been a bit faster. This book is more like a actual like kind of slow burn. But yeah, my review. Wow, oh my gosh, I love this book. From the slow burn to the actually really good storyline to the character development and really deep lives of all the characters, this book was amazing. Jasmine and Mac are everything. I love them and their chemistry, and I love the way they love. It was so beautiful. Currently reeling from the ending though, because what was that? I need a second book. Meow. So this book is everything I've just been saying. The storyline was literally so deep, way deeper than I thought it was gonna be. Like, I can't lie, before you read this book, read the trigger warnings, because I did not read those, and so when it got to some point in the book, like, I was not prepared. I cannot lie. Not to say you shouldn't read the book because it's really good, but trigger warning, because trigger warning. But I love this book so much. They are just so well written, and they're like they're just beautiful characters. Like, I feel like if they were people, like their souls would be so pure, so kind and gentle. Yeah, I don't even know what to say without spoiling the book, but basically it's just like two kids who kind of from troubled backgrounds, but like you wouldn't really know it about one of them, and the other one, like Mac, he's just so basically looking like after his sister. He's basically just like raised her, and their family is looked down upon, and he's like trying to get out of his town. But then his sister gets pregnant, which it's not a spoiler, it happens in the first like 2 seconds of the book. And then he's like looking after her, trying to figure out how to like live and like his future within that. There's so much happening in this book. It's not just the romance, which is another thing I just love. And Jasmine, hers is where kind of like the trigger warning more pops in. She's like going through this bad situation with her family, and I won't say more than that. They both find each other and like grow together. And like I said, I didn't like the ending. I didn't like the ending, and so I'm waiting for the next book, but I don't know when that comes out. So we just have to figure that out. But anyways, I love that book so much. I could do like a 6 stars. I would do it. The next book is Powerless. I'm kind of assuming that you guys already know what Powerless is because I saw that book everywhere. It was obviously on TikTok and then Instagram, and my friends started reading it, and I was like, okay, like I get it, I'll read this. She is the very thing he spent his whole life hunting. He is the very thing she spent her whole life pretending to be. The only extraordinary belong in the kingdom of Lyra. The exceptional, the empowered, the elites. The powers these elites have possessed for decades were graciously gifted to them by the plague, though they were not all fortunate enough to both survive the sickness and reap the reward. Those born ordinary are just that, ordinary. And when the king decreed that all ordinaries be banished in order to preserve his elite society, lacking an ability suddenly became a crime, making Payden Grey a felon by fate and a thief by necessity. Surviving in the slums as an ordinary is no simple task, and Payden knows this better than most. Having been trained by her father to be overly observant since she was a child, Payden poses as a psychic in the crowded city, blending in with the elites as best as she can in order to stay alive and out of trouble. Easier said than done. When Payden unsuspectedly saves one of Ilia's princes, she finds herself thrown into the purging trials. The brutal competition exists to showcase the elite powers, the very thing Payden lacks. If the trials and the opponents within them don't kill her, the prince she's fighting feelings for certainly will if he discovers what she is, completely ordinary. I did have fun reading this book. It was a very quick read. This book was like, I feel like it was just such a fast read. That's not a bad thing. I actually rated this 4 stars, so it's not as high up as the other one, I cannot lie. But let me just read my review. Oh my gosh, I love this book. I can't lie, it was full of so many cliches, but it was so fun to read. I love the world building and how it's not too confusing. I love the dual POVs. Why can't every book have them? Seeing Kai's POV really made the book so special and warm. I can't wait to see what will happen now that he knows what she is. It's so sad to see how Kit changed at the end. Ooh, okay, spoilers in this review. Like, even throughout the book, his character was so disappointed. He was so one-dimensional, only caring for his father's approval, that he couldn't even care his brother was literally tortured by him. I was literally going insane reading that. He wanted them to have a better relationship, like, for real. Anyways, I love the relationship between Kai and Payden. They were so cute. Yeah, so this book, yeah, like, me rating it 4 stars kind of says, like I said, I'm a really easy judge. I feel like they threw in every single cliche into this book. Like, there was not one trope that I didn't read in this book. I remember reading it and I was like, oh, like, this doesn't even really fit into the storyline, but somehow it's here. Like, this doesn't make sense. At the same time, it's a fun read. I love a good fantasy romance. I still think it was a really good book. Not the best book I've read, but it wasn't also the worst. It's just books that, like, are kind of messy and are kind of like, okay, this isn't like the best book, but it's still really fun to read. I feel like I've been talking for so long. So really need that water. But anyways, on to what I'm reading now. Okay, the first book I wanted to start off with is a book that if you haven't seen this book or heard of this book or read this book, I genuinely don't know where you've been. Or maybe that was just me, because the book, I feel like it was everywhere. Like, I saw it everywhere, and not even for like a short period of time, for years. That book is, and I actually have this book in person, Babel. I'm this far in, and I've been reading, I can't lie, since summer, and it is October. I'm more of a fantasy romance book reader, so this is not my usual book, but I love it so much. From award-winning author R.F. Kuang, I'm so sorry if I pronounced that wrong, comes Babel, historical fantasy epic that grapples with student revolutions, colonial resistance, and the use of language and translation as a dominating tool of the British Empire. An act of translation is always a betrayal. Robin Swift, orphaned by cholera in Canton, is brought to London by the mysterious Professor Lovell. There he trains for years in Latin, ancient Greek and Chinese, all in preparation for the day he'll enroll in Oxford University's prestigious Royal Institution of Translation, also known as Babel. The tower and its students are the world's centre for translation, and more importantly, magic. Silverworking, the art of manifesting the meaning lost in translation using enchanted silver bars, has made the British unparalleled in power, as the arcane craft serves the Empire's quest for colonization. For Robin, Oxford is a utopia dedicated to the pursuit of knowledge, but knowledge obeys power, and as a Chinese boy raised in Britain, Robin realizes serving Babel means betraying his motherland. As his studies studies progress, Robin finds himself caught between Babel and the shadowy Hermes Society, an organization dedicated to stopping imperial expansion. When Britain pursues an unjust war with China over silver and opium, Robin must decide, can powerful institutions be changed from within, or does a revolution always require violence? I feel like I don't even have to say anything else, to be honest. Like, this book literally speaks for itself, so much so that I even bought it in person, because I usually read my books online. It's so deep that, like, that's why it's taken me so long to read it, because I like have to stop and like think, and I'm like, wow, what did I just read? Wow, this is literally amazing. So far, I love the book. I love the characters. I love how each of them is so like, it's so real. That's what it is. Each of the characters is so real. Like, Robin is struggling with trying to like live as the person he's been raised to be, this Oxford student. And it's kind of the struggle as being an immigrant from a different country and trying not to forget your language, but then also like trying to act like you're from the place that you are in currently. There's so much being added onto this, and it's so interesting seeing the different ways that people acclimatize to being in a white society. And I love how this book uses languages and the story to talk about such deeper issues. I don't know, it's just a great book. I think it's gonna be a 5-star, to be honest. Like, I have not finished this book, but like from literally the beginning I was like, this is gonna be a 5-star book. But yeah, this is a book I recommend everyone read. It is so good. So good. Can't rave about it enough. The next book that I am currently reading is another book I have in person. I actually bought it in one of my other vlogs. The Talented Mr. Ripley. Tom Ripley is struggling to stay one step ahead of his creditors and the law when an unexpected acquaintance offers him a free trip to Europe and a chance to start over. Ripley wants money, success, and the good life, and he's willing to kill for it. When his newfound happiness is threatened, his response is as swift as it is shocking. So this book, I'm actually just reading it because I discovered earlier this year that I love a murder mystery. And so I was like, wait, this is such an interesting book, and my friend actually recommended it to me. Or like, she didn't recommend it to me, but I know she likes the film. I was like, wait, she likes the film of this, let me read the book. And it's not a long book, but as you see, I have barely read any of it, so I don't really know how I feel about it now. So far, I think it's really good. I do quite like Tom's character, and I don't really know where it's gonna go. And I haven't watched the movie actually, so I don't have too much to say about this book, to be honest, but I am enjoying it right now. I will let you know how I find it. If you've read this book, let me know how you found it. But yeah, the next book I actually want to talk about is a book that I started reading years and years ago, and I actually haven't been reading it this year, but I want to finish it because I was nearly done with it when I was reading it. But it is The Book Thief. I love the movie of this book, and I love this book. I'm this much in. It's funny, I literally used Morrison's receipt to like bookmark, but yeah, let me read the blurb. That is a small fact. You are going to die. 1939 Nazi Germany. The country is holding its breath. Death has never been busier. Liesel, a 9-year-old girl, is living with a foster family on Himmel Street. Her parents have been taken away to a concentration camp. Liesel steals books. This is her story, and the story of the inhabitants of her street where the bombs begin to fall. Some important information. This novel is narrated by Jeff. It's a story about a girl, an accordionist, some fanatical Germans, a Jewish fistfighter, and quite a lot of thievery. Another thing you should know, Jeff will visit the book thief 3 times. This is such a good book. I loved the movie so much that I was like, I have to read this book. And to be honest, it means I kind of know the story already, which is also why I don't think I've been too fussed about trying to finish it. But I do think that I need to finish it because I literally was reading this book like before I even started uni, and now I'm in third. It's been a long time. I like want to finish this book before the year's up because I'm like, I've read so many other books since. Let me actually finish the books that I've started like a while ago. Just follows Liesel in Nazi Germany and like her wanting to read and learn, which is so weird because like I can't even imagine what it was like at that time or in any like war-ridden country when things like books aren't available, or in her case, they're frowned upon. They're burning the books and she's saving them. It's just so heartfelt, and I already know the story, so I already know some of the sad stuff that's gonna happen. And that's actually why I stopped reading, because I knew something was gonna happen that I didn't want to happen, so I stopped. I haven't read the book since. I already know this is gonna be a 5-star. I've already read like over half the book. I just need to finish. The next book is actually a book that I don't have in person, but I put it in the what I'm reading now because I was reading it now, but I literally finished it yesterday. So this book is fresh in my mind. It's One Dark Window. Elspeth needs a monster. The monster might be her. Elspeth needs more than luck to stay safe in the eerie, mislocked kingdom of plunder. She needs a monster. She calls him the Nightmare, an ancient mercurial spirit trapped in her head. He protects her, he keeps her secrets, but nothing comes for free, especially magic. When Elspeth meets a mysterious highwayman on the forest road, her life takes a drastic turn. Thrust into a world of shadow and deception, she joins a dangerous quest to cure plunder from the dark magic infecting it. And the highwayman? He just so happens to be the king's nephew, captain of the most dangerous men in the plunder, and guilty of high treason. Together, they must gather 12 Providence cards, the keys to the cure. But as the stakes heighten and their undeniable attraction intensifies, Elspeth is forced to face her darkest secret yet. The nightmare is slowly taking over her mind, and she might not be able to stop him. I literally just finished this book yesterday, so I actually have a review for this one, even though I haven't put it in this section. But my review. Oh my gosh, I love this book. It was so good. I loved the world building, not too much, not too little, but just right. Elspeth is so amazing. I love her character so much. And I love her with Raven. I love how they didn't fall in love so quickly and how much she cares for her. I also love how I can't really guess where the story will progress. I can't wait to read the next book. It's funny also, I said I finished that book yesterday. I'm already like 59% in on the next one. I kind of stayed up till 2 a.m. reading that book, but I think that is literally a testament to the book series. It is so good. I love it so much. It's interesting because in Powerless, it was like if you're ordinary, that's a bad thing, and here in this book, it's like if you have magic, that's a bad thing. I only realized I like the opposites kind of in terms of stories. It's so good. I'm giving it 5 stars. I love it so much. I don't know, like it is kind of just a generic fantasy romance, but at the same time, like it just feels so good to read this one. I have no reason why. I love how much Raven loves Elspeth, and I love how Elspeth didn't just like give up her secrets, and it was like an actual kind of, not like enemies to lovers, but more just like, she wasn't just like, oh my gosh, I love you so much, she knows she's a human being and she has like nuances, and she like hid things from him. I love that she didn't trust him fully from the beginning. Yeah, it's just a really nice book, and I love the second book as well, which I'm reading. I was like I said, I'm already like 59%. The final book that I'm gonna be talking about is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. This is a book that I started reading, and I'm like just under 30% of the book, and it's a really good book, but let me read it. In this exhilarating novel, 2 friends, often in love but never lovers, come together as creative partners in the world of video game design, where success brings them fame, joy, tragedy, duplicity, and ultimately a kind of immortality. On a bitter cold day in December of his junior year at Harvard, Sam Monsieur exits a subway car and sees amid a horde of people waiting on the platform Lady Green. He calls her name. For a moment she pretends she hasn't heard him, but then she turns and a game begins. A legendary collaboration that will launch them into stardom. These friends, intimate since childhood, borrow money, beg favors, and even before graduating college, they have created their first blockbuster, Ichigo. Overnight, the world is theirs. Not even 25 years old, Sam and Sadie are brilliant, successful, and rich. But these qualities won't protect them from their own creative ambitions or the betrayals of their own heart. Spanning 30 years, from Cambridge, Massachusetts, to Venice Beach, California, and the lands between and far beyond, Gabrielle Zevin's Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow is a dazzling and intricately imagined novel that examines the multifarious nature of identity, disability, failure, and the redemptive possibilities in play, and above all, our need to connect, be loved, and to love. Yes, it is a love story, but not the one you have read before. Okay, like I said, I am not far into this book, but I already feel like I've read so much. It's so good. Like, characters are so well written. So basically it's Sam and Sadie, and they met because Sam was in hospital and Sadie starts visiting, and they become friends, and yeah, they start designing this game when they meet again later on in life. I don't want to say more, I don't spoil the book. I was reading it and I was like, wow, this isn't just like a cute little love story, which to be honest, when I started reading it, I kind of wanted it to be a cute little love story. When I found out that it wasn't, I was like, okay. But it's still a really good book. It's so nuanced, I think, and it's so interesting, and I can't wait to read more. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you got some book recommendations. If anyone has any book recommendations, I think I would like, put them down below. And yeah, I hope you got some inspiration. I hope you can add some books to your reading list. Actually read some of the books on your reading list, because I know I struggle to do that. But yeah, I've really loved and enjoyed talking about books with you guys. See you in my next video. Sincerely, Jasmine.